And now we turn to Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, joining me from just across town here in Manhattan. So welcome to the program. You heard what Saeb Erekat has said, and he said that he's detected no serious move in the direction of getting the embassy to Jerusalem from the Trump administration. What do you know about that? Have you heard differently?
Well, we heard President Trump during the campaign, and we welcome the decision to speak about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, period. It is the capital of the Jewish people for more than 3,000 years. And I heard Mr. Erekat threatening Israel, threatening the US, and I asked myself, if he is the chief negotiator, why he's not talking about coming back and negotiating with Israel? He's busy negotiating with the Hamas terrorist organization, and instead of negotiating with Israel. So I would recommend Mr. Erekat, stop with threatening Israel, stop with threatening the US, and we will respect if the US will decide to move its embassy. We will welcome it, and I think it will be an important step, not only for Israel, but also for the US.
There's a few things that we need to pick up there, but first and foremost, to the specific question, do you believe it is going to move? Have you had any indication from the administration that that is what they're planning?
I heard President Trump during the campaign. I met President Trump in the past, and I believe that what he said, he believed it, and we believe it will happen. And Prime Minister Netanyahu will come to Washington, Christian, in a few weeks, and I'm sure this issue will be part of the negotiation and the talks with President Trump.
Okay, so now to what you just said about what you thought you heard from Saeb Erekat. I didn't actually hear any threats. I didn't hear any threats of violence or anything like that. What I heard was a desperate plea to treat all sides fairly and to get back to the negotiating table. And to that question where he said, walk me through the next day if there is no more two-state solution, if this all blows up, and you can see both, you can see the US and Israel right now walking back from the two-state solution. Can you walk us through the alternative to the two-state solution?
First, I beg to differ with you. Mr. Erekat did say a few minutes ago that the Palestinians will not recognize the state of Israel, that they will come to the UN, they will come here and ask the UN to reject Israel. So maybe he did it nicely and politely, but that is a threat which we do not play according to threats, and I would recommend the US also not to follow those threats. And we are saying to Erekat and Abu Mazen, enough with the games, enough with coming to the UN, enough with the media games. Come back to the negotiating table and negotiate with Israel. We did it in the past with Egypt, with Jordan. If the Palestinians really want to promote peace, they should stop the incitement, stop encouraging terrorism. Mr. Erekat himself, they are paying terrorists to kill Israelis from the money, by the way, that the US government is giving to the PLO. So I think they should stop with the games and come back to the negotiating table.
Can I just try to get to the heart of the substance? You've seen, the threat to move the embassy could, by all accounts, create disturbance, political disturbance. If that happens, and if these settlements continue, and you saw your own government approve hundreds and thousands of new homes, both in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem, if this continues, and it is against what US and international policy holds to be true right now, if that all happens, and the one-state solution becomes the only possibility, in other words, no more two-state solution, and either a non-democratic or a non-Jewish Israel, again, walk us through what you see to be the future if there is no two-state solution, Ambassador Danon.
Well, I think nobody said that coming from the Israeli government. We say very clearly that we want to negotiate, and it is another threat, saying that if we will not take action now, if we will not give the Palestinians everything they want now without negotiating, there will be a one-state solution. It is another threat, and we are not buying into it. We say very clearly, let's sit down, let's negotiate in Ramallah, in Tel Aviv, or even in Washington, but we will talk and we will negotiate. Coming and saying if the Palestinians will not receive everything they want without even negotiating with the Israelis, for us, we don't play that way.
It does appear that President Trump is very, very aligned with Israel's position, and I mean the Israeli government, the current right-wing Israeli government of which you are part. How can you have a negotiation, and can the United States still be an honest broker? And I guess the big question is, if the U.S., aligns with what you hope, is that really the act of a friend? Is that something that will protect Israel?
I think you cannot blame the U.S. for everything. The problem is with the Palestinians, not with the US. When Prime Minister Menachem Begin was elected in 1977, he was considered to be a right wing, even a radical, some will say, and he was able to achieve peace with the Egyptians. But you need a viable partner among the Palestinians, and then yes, the US can help us, and we welcome the involvement not only of the US, but other international players, even some of the moderate Arab countries, but you need the Palestinians to be on board. And unfortunately, they prefer to go to France, to come to the UN, but not to sit down and negotiate with us.
We're out of time. Ambassador Danny Danon, thank you very much, and we'll keep following this issue.